Hey guys, it's Greg with Apple Explained, and as you can see from the title, History of the App Store won this week's voting poll. If you missed the poll and didn't get to vote, make sure you're subscribed, and that way the voting polls will show up right in your activity feed. Now I'm glad this topic won, because 2018 is the 10-year anniversary of the App Store, and that means if you're in middle school right now, you probably don't remember what life was like before the app era. So let's travel back to 2007, the year of the original iPhone, and explore how people used their smartphones without an app store. Back then, when you purchased a smartphone, whether it was a BlackBerry, iPhone, or Nokia, you were stuck with the software included on the phone. If you wanted to use Facebook, you had to go through the smartphone's web browser and get on Facebook's website. And because you were accessing the site on a mobile device, you were served the mobile site version. And the problem with this was that most mobile sites were half-baked versions of the full website, so you typically didn't have access to all of its features and functionality. And if you did manage to access the full desktop site from a mobile device, it was slow, clumsy to navigate, and hard on your battery. So right away you can see the need for an app store. But things always appear more obvious in retrospect because Steve Jobs didn't believe the iPhone needed an app store. He favored the concept of web apps. The reason why he preferred this approach is that web apps were inherently free, easy for developers to create and update, and didn't require the infrastructure and resources necessary to operate something like an app store. Jobs said, the full Safari engine is inside of iPhone, and so you can write amazing Web 2.0 and Ajax apps that look exactly and behave exactly like apps on the iPhone. And guess what? There's no SDK that you need. You've got everything you need if you know how to write apps using the most modern web standards to write amazing apps for the iPhone today. Needless to say, not everyone agreed with him. Apple board member Art Levinson favored the App Store approach and called Jobs 6 times to change his mind, saying, Jobs at first quashed the discussion, partly because he felt his team didn't have the bandwidth to figure out all the complexities that would be involved in policing third-party app developers. And I think that was a very reasonable concern. After all, no one had ever made an app store for such a large platform like iOS before. This disagreement created a divide within Apple, Team Web Apps and Team App Store. Those who supported an app store argued that developers needed the ability to create native apps on iPhone since it came with so many benefits. Great power management, offline access, optimized performance, ease of use, monetization opportunities, and a reason for customers to choose iPhone over its competitors. Needless to say, Jobs ended up getting his way, and at the 2007 Worldwide Developers Conference, Apple announced that iPhone would run web apps. But the news fell flat. Developers were frustrated that they couldn't create native apps for iPhone like they'd been doing with the Mac. It also left very little room for developers to monetize their web apps outside of ad revenue. And the features of their web apps would be limited to the capabilities of Web 2.0 instead of having access to native APIs in an iPhone software development kit. This disappointment sent a clear message to Jobs, and he responded later that year in an open letter that began, "Let me just say it. We want native third-party applications on the iPhone, and we plan to have an SDK in developers' hands in February. We are excited about creating a vibrant third-party developer community around the iPhone and enabling hundreds of new applications for our users." This change of heart was well received in the tech community, and customers became excited about the potential of native third-party apps. About 5 months later, Apple released the iPhone SDK to developers for a $99 annual fee. Developers praised the software development kit since they could build and test apps quickly and have access to some of the same APIs Apple used to build their apps. The kit also had an iPhone simulator to mimic the look and feel of the device on the computer while developing. This kicked off an app creation frenzy. Developers knew that being one of the first apps offered in the App Store was a huge advantage, since the marketplace would quickly balloon in size. 5 months later, Apple opened the App Store to customers with 500 apps available, and in its first 3 days, users downloaded over 10 million apps. The App Store was a grand slam, and it was just the beginning. By the end of 2008, the App Store offered over 10,000 apps, and Apple released the top 10 paid and free apps of that year. The top 10 paid apps were Koi Pond, Texas Hold'em, Moto Chaser, Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 3D, Super Monkey Ball, Cro-Mag Rally, Enigmo, Pocket Guitar, Recorder, and iBeer. The top 10 free apps were Pandora Radio, Facebook, TapTap Revenge, Shazam, Labyrinth Lite, Remote, Google Earth, Lightsaber Unleashed, AIM, and Urban Spoon. If you were around for the release of the App Store, you were probably just hit with a bit of nostalgia. In 2009, Apple ran an ad campaign with the slogan, "There's an app for that," and the catchphrase found its way into pop culture and was parodied several times over by YouTubers and television shows alike. The term app became so popular that it was awarded the honor of being 2010's Word of the Year by the American Dialect Society. The immediate success of the App Store prompted other smartphone companies to do the same on their platform. Google released their own store for Android called Google Play near the end of 2008. Microsoft opened its Windows Store in 2012, later renamed Microsoft Store, and Amazon released their Amazon App Store in 2011. Now, Amazon Store was the only one to share the App Store name with Apple, and this triggered a lawsuit. Now, it may sound a bit petty, but Apple had applied for a trademark on the term App Store in 2008, which was technically approved in early 2011. Apple spokesperson Kristen Hugut told Bloomberg that Apple's fear is that by using the App Store name, Amazon's offering will confuse and mislead customers. But after making little progress on the lawsuit after 2 years, Amazon and Apple called a truce. According to Apple, they didn't need to pursue legal action against Amazon anymore because consumers had spoken clearly in their preference for the Apple App Store. The App Store received its first small update in iOS 3, which introduced in-app purchases and push notifications for third-party apps. Now, the release of in-app purchases will probably go down as one of the most controversial features in App Store history. The announcement was huge for developers and led to a fundamental shift in the way applications were marketed and priced. Up until this point, developers of premium applications faced a major problem. They had no way of offering a watered-down version of a premium application for free that users could pay to unlock if they liked what they saw, a capability that was quite common on desktop software. This led to the creation of light versions of applications, which typically offered a reduced feature set and required users to buy an entirely new application to access its premium features, which obviously wasn't user-friendly. With in-app purchases, this was no longer a problem. Light versions of applications were removed entirely, and in its place, premium apps were offered for free with feature restrictions. If users wanted access to all the features down the road, they could easily purchase them from within the app. But there is a downside to this capability, particularly with gaming apps. Instead of being used to unlock features, in-app purchases were used to endlessly charge users in order to keep playing a game. You could download some great games for free, but it may only be a demo. So in order to play the full game, you'd have to pay. And to continue to play the game or to unlock new content, you'd have to pay again. This was a result of the new freemium pricing strategy that plagued the majority of free gaming apps, including Candy Crush, Clash of Clans, and Farmville. Some users also felt that developers were only releasing a portion of their game, and then charging users for the remaining gameplay rather than using in-app purchases to provide bonus content. But unfortunately, Apple had no control over how developers utilized in-app purchases, so the feature was and continues to be exploited in order to maximize profit. In iOS 4, Apple tried to help developers monetize their apps by introducing iAd. And this is where web apps snuck back into iOS, because when a user tapped on an iAd, it would fill the screen with a web-based interactive advertisement that could offer downloadable freebies like wallpapers, videos, and even apps without requiring a trip to the App Store. And when a user tapped the exit button, the ad would disappear from the screen and leave the user right where they left off. So throughout the entire process, you were never taken out of the app. This was in contrast with other ads which would rip users out of their app and take them to the web browser to display the advertising content. After 6 years of activity, Apple quietly discontinued the iAd app network in 2016 without any justification. The next update came in iOS 5 when the App Store was integrated within Game Center so users could easily find and buy new games. The App Store also received a new downloads section where you could see a list of apps you downloaded from any iOS device connected to your account. And the App Store got its first redesign in iOS 6 that included viewing app screenshots in full screen. Also, when you downloaded an app, it didn't redirect you to the home screen anymore, a helpful feature if you wanted to stay in the App Store to download multiple apps. In iOS 7, the App Store received many new capabilities, including a wish list, searching through previously downloaded apps, auto app updates, viewing popular apps based on location, and a new icon animation while downloading an app. And developers gained access to the new HealthKit API in iOS 8, which allowed them to link apps to a central database of a user's personal health data, with the user's permission. In iOS 10, developers could buy ad spots in the App Store's search results, similar to what we see with Google and Amazon. Apple also allowed developers to respond to user reviews of their app. Finally, in iOS 11, the App Store received its biggest redesign yet that was cleaner and more consistent with other apps like Apple Music. It also had a bigger focus on editorial content like daily highlights. This reorganization was meant to encourage app discovery and help lesser-known apps earn some time in the spotlight. Today, users spend more time on apps than mobile search, and the app revolution shows no signs of slowing down. The App Store offers over 2 million apps that have been downloaded more than 130 billion times, and all of this success has added up to over 70 billion in revenue for developers. But the worldwide popularity of the App Store has caused some problems, especially in China. In 2017, the Chinese government requested that Apple remove the New York Times app from the China App Store, most likely to block critical or revealing information about their leadership. Apple spokesperson Fred Sands said, "We have been informed that the app is in violation of local regulations. As a result, the app must be taken off the China App Store. When this situation changes, the App Store will once again offer the New York Times app for download in China." Apple also began removing VPN apps in compliance with new laws in China requiring a government license for businesses offering VPNs. Many criticized Apple for enabling China's aggressive censorship in order to maintain access to the lucrative Chinese market. Florida Senator Marco Rubio said, "Here's an example of a company, in my view, so desperate to have access to the Chinese marketplace that they are willing to follow the laws of that country even if those laws run counter to what those companies' own standards are supposed to be." But Tim Cook remained optimistic about the situation, saying, "My hope over time is that some of the couple of things that have been pulled, come back. I have great hope on that and great optimism on that." But what do you think? Is it okay that Tim Cook is bending to China's will, or is Apple just practicing standard business protocol by adhering to local laws? Let me know what you think, and if you want to vote for the next video topic, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.